hard to keep the camera still, but we have this groundhog that keeps coming back on our property. I don't know what it's trying to do. I have to move around this wood to see if it's trying to burrow under there or it has a nest. But that's where our farm shop is. We've been noticing in the last couple of days it comes out and it eats grass and it eats the dandelions. Hopefully it does not get into our garden. I think it's cute as long as it stays away from our garden and our plants that we're getting in the ground. We finished transplanting everything yesterday, so I'm going to do a kind of like an updated garden tour of everything that we have growing, and I'm going to be direct sowing some seeds later today into the garden as well because we have a lot of empty space still. So I just got done hanging some more clothes on the line. It's a nice breezy day today and it's sunny, a little bit overcast, but the sun pokes out as well, so perfect day to hang some clothes on the line. It's still there, it's watching me. I wanted to catch it on video because I've been trying to take pictures of it, but every time it sees us, it gets scared. So let's go ahead and do a garden tour, and then I'll show you everything that we have in the garden so far. Before heading to the garden, here's an update on our baby chicks. They are doing really good. We have one that seems to be failing to thrive. I don't see it right now, but it's a really little runt one. Which I think is going to die sometime soon, but the rest of them have been doing really good. They're like triple in size from the last update that I did when we first got them. They're running through that food dish. I'm filling that 3 or 4 times a day, and they're drinking lots and lots of water, but they're very healthy, very active, and I believe we have about 45 or 46 of them. We did lose a couple, but so far the ones that have survived have been super healthy and active and growing very, very fast. But let's go head to the garden right now. Let me lock up this door. I have some hanging baskets up here. I planted cucumbers, pickling cucumbers, and then the other ones have flowers. I forgot the name of it right now, but I'm mostly excited for the cucumbers. This one fell on the ground yesterday when we were trying to hang it up, so that's why it kind of looks a mess. But the idea with these is that they grow down and all of the cucumbers grow, and hopefully this will also keep it a little bit safer from the pests. And I think we'll still have problems with like caterpillars and things, but at least it's off the ground, and I think it'll be well away from slugs and things that want to eat the cucumbers or the cucumber leaves from the plant. So I'm trying those out. Those work out good. I'll definitely continue growing cucumbers in hanging baskets instead of on the ground. I'm gonna head to the flower garden first. We don't really have a lot of flowers in here, but everything is still kind of in the sprouting stage. We did a lot of transplants in here, and then we also direct seeded a bunch of stuff. So right now everything is still germinating. These are the raspberry bushes to the left and to the right. Then you walk into the flower garden box, and there's just a little bit of everything everywhere. So there's wildflowers, sunflowers, zinnias. I've planted some bigger plants in here, nasturtiums, there's lupins. The marigolds that we transplanted in here is the only thing that's really flowering or about to flower. Everything else is just, it's basically green. Like every little thing that you see, some of them might be weeds, but a lot of them is seeds that we direct sowed in here. So that is what that is looking like. Our rhubarb over there. I've already harvested rhubarb a couple times. I made strawberry rhubarb jam, and then this week actually for the farm stand I made a strawberry rhubarb cobblers. So that's why they look like that. By this rake, I have to clean some weeds out of here, but the cucumber seeds that we sowed directly in here have germinated, it looks like. At least one out of the 3 I see some seeds popping out there. I just gotta clean this up a little better. So I want the cucumbers to grow up on this rake if they get to that point. These are not pickling cucumbers. I think they're the longer ones, or they might be pickling cucumbers. I don't remember. We planted one called Ashley cucumber, and then we planted some pickling cucumbers. We got the kiwi. These are kiwi berry plants, which we have to try to train to go up the panel because they're trying to come this way. So I might zip tie or take some little rope or something and tie them up. So we planted the 2 male ones that we had in the middle, and the rest of them are females because the male has to pollinate the females in order to get any fruit from these. I'm not sure when they'll actually start producing fruit, but we got all 6 in the ground and we put them right here by the flower garden. And then our idea with those is just to heavily keep them pruned so that they stay growing on those panels instead of trying to wander off, because since they are a vine, they're going to try to grow everywhere, but I'm going to keep them heavily pruned so they don't do that. We planted the Carmine Jewel cherry trees. So all this row, we planted them about 10 feet apart. Some of them might be a little bit under that. Me and my son did this the other day. So those have been doing good ever since we transplanted them. They did not go through any transplant shock or anything. They pretty much look the same as when we first put them in the ground. They do look a little perkier. We got lots of rain yesterday. And maybe a little more green, but I haven't seen like any growth from them yet. They look just like when we first put them in the ground. They do have some browning leaves, but that's how they were before we planted them. As we head to the vegetable garden, here we're preparing where we're going to plant the honeyberries. So we just tilled 3 rows, and we're going to plant the 3 varieties that we have and split them up into one variety in the middle, one on the right, one on the left. So that way they can pollinate each other, because the variety that we're planting in the middle is supposed to pollinate both. I don't remember the names right now, but the one that we're going to plant on the right and the one on the left. So we tilled that like twice already. We're going to do it another time before actually getting the plants into the ground. But the plants, they have to go into the ground pretty soon because they're drying out very fast in the plastic cups that they're in. So we need to get them in the ground so we don't have to water them as often. We did get to try one. Here's another one that looks almost ready. We tried one that was ripe on this very same plant. It tasted, I don't think it was fully ripe. It tasted kind of like a underripe blueberry, but it had a lot of flavor. It was just a little tart. The wind knocked all these down, but we're gonna get these in the ground for sure this week. We already have everything ready. We just have to till it one more time and go ahead and plant them. Honeyberries don't really need a lot of fertilizer and really a lot of care. After you put them in the ground, just keep them watered. If it doesn't rain, I've heard they're actually pretty tolerant to not getting too much water and rain, so that is good because we don't have irrigation, so we're depending on as much rain as possible, and just hand watering ourselves using water that we've caught from rain catchment or from our well. So let's head to the garden. It is starting to get filled out. I'm very excited about it. The rain really helped everything just kind of pop, so you can start seeing more in here. We're not even halfway through with the garden though, and we've already transplanted everything that we had. So from here on out it's just going to be direct sowing seeds, because I am done with transplanting things and we don't have anything else that we're growing indoors that's going to come out here. So let's go ahead and show you what we have so far. So garlic has been doing good. I am very, very surprised, but yesterday after all that rain we had, we noticed that slugs were actually on our garlic and eating some of our garlic. And let me try to find one. I had noticed the other day that our garlic had little bites missing. And I could have sworn I read that slugs did not like garlic or onions or anything like that. So I was surprised to see the slugs climbing up the garlic and just eating away. These are onions that we planted in between the garlic. So I guess us putting garlic powder and things in the garden was just a waste of time because the slugs are actually eating the garlic itself. So that's kind of crazy. But we've been putting lots of DE powder. We've been trying to remove the leaves that we had here since fall time, and we've been spraying with diluted Epsom salt. We just dilute some in some water and use it as a foliage spray on all the plants. And we've been just coming out here every evening and hand picking all the slugs we can. We set up beer traps, and we actually caught 7 slugs on the first night of setting out the beer traps. So I gotta do those again because the rain kind of washed it all out. But hand picking in the evening seems to be the best because that's when they first come out and they're just all over the place, all over the greens. We found a bunch on the garlic, like I said. So that's mostly the way we've been trying to control the slugs. So garlic and onions, and then these are kohlrabi. Head over here. We're having a lot of weeds too. We have to start picking weeds soon. These are radishes. Collard greens next to it. Look how big they've gotten since the last time I did this video. And mustard greens have really started growing too. Despite the leaf damage from the bugs, they have gotten way bigger. So that's exciting. Then the little things that I planted in between here, eggplants, peppers, those have been doing really good. Our direct sowed carrots, this is what they're looking like. They're growing their true leaves in the middle. And you could kind of see little clusters of them. I did not do a good job at sprinkling these seeds evenly. It looks like they're just growing in little clumps. But that's okay. Next to it is beets. So this is the stage that the beet seeds are at. Next to it is the most recent planted mustard greens, also growing a lot since the last time that I did this video where I was showing them newly transplanted. They have grown a lot. Behind the mustard greens is the lettuce. So all this is the butterhead lettuce. Doing really good. I have to come and squish little tiny black caterpillars off of these every other night. They're still kind of trying to cocoon themselves inside of the leaves, but I've been controlling that by hand. Next to that is radishes that we direct sowed. And the rest of these are direct sowed also. So this one is cabbage. The cabbage has grown. I can't ever remember what's on this row. Might be more carrots. Let me see. That's what it looks like. Yeah, these are carrots. Very hard to see, so I have to really get up close. Yep, those are carrots. So cabbage was next to it. Then we transplanted all of our tomatoes yesterday. So this whole row is tomatoes. It's Cherokee purple tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, Roma tomatoes. I don't remember what else we ended up planting, but those are doing really good. They're nice and perky from all of that rain that we got. Next to the tomatoes, I planted a variety of peppers. So these were at the very young seedling stage, but I just wanted to go ahead and get all my stuff into the ground and just get it over with instead of letting it grow even more. But there's bell peppers here, jalapeno, serrano, large Japanese peppers, which I believe were sweet also. They weren't spicy. And bell peppers, I think wonder bell peppers. So this whole entire row all the way to the end is peppers. Next to that is the eggplants. I had a tray of eggplant seeds or seedlings. So I don't think this whole row is eggplants. Let me walk down there and see. They're very, very young, but I think now that they're in the ground, they can spread their roots. This dirt was very, very soft and fluffy. We amended it with some goat compost, some worm castings, a little bit of Epsom salt, and got them in the ground. Yep, it looks like it's all eggplants up to here. And then I planted some cucumber seeds over here. This is actually zucchini. We had really bad germination with our zucchini. I think only 2 plants actually made it into the garden. Then the rest of these are cucumbers. These are the Ashley cucumbers. They're longer slicing cucumbers, not pickling ones. So I planted them back here because those need space to spread out. Then this row is super hard to see, but I had some more kale, cabbage, and lettuce starts. They were very, very young. I wouldn't be surprised if the worms got to these, but I planted them again just because I didn't want any more things indoors. I just want to have everything in one spot. These are also beets that I transplanted, and I think that beets just do better when you direct seed them into the ground, but I transplanted some and we'll hope that it actually turns into beets. So we have all of these rows still to work with. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It keeps going. We probably have a dozen more rows that we can plant in. All I really have left is seeds, carrot seeds, radish seeds, beet seeds. I have broccoli seeds, which I don't know if it's too late to plant those. I have more things like eggplant, peppers, and tomatoes, but I think it's definitely too late to start any of those because we're here in Maine, so our season is pretty short. But I'm definitely going to plant more carrots, more radishes, beets, more of the quicker growing things. I might try the broccoli because I think broccoli is a lot more cold hardy, so we might actually get some to harvest later in the fall time before it turns into winter. I'm not sure. But this is all the space we still have left to work with after transplanting everything. So I'm trying to think of what to fill the rows with. Maybe I'll also grab some more seeds from the store, since all we have left is basically the same seeds that we already have in the ground. But it's good to continue planting things because you don't know what's actually going to make it to harvest before pests get to it or the bugs get to it. Plus you want to have a continuous harvest of things. So it's good to continue planting some of the same things like the carrots and the radishes and the beets. These are watermelons. They have not all survived. Some of them have already kind of withered away. I think they were too young. These are watermelons, and I gave them all of the space to themselves so they can spread out. So hopefully we get at least 2 or 3 plants that do really good and can fill out this spot back here. But if not, we have more space to put something else in here. I also have acorn squash seeds that I have not decided if I wanted to plant them or not, but seeing as we have so much space here, I might put some in the ground. I don't think acorn squashes take up too much space. Our pumpkins are doing really good. I'll show you those next. Pumpkins, I do have to come here and pull some more weeds growing through the grass mulching that we did here. But they've gotten bigger ever since we planted them. I gotta watch them for little worms and caterpillars. And then our volunteer pumpkins that grew up in the front near the flower garden are doing really good. It's probably just as big as these that I purposely planted. We planted another set of 2 pumpkins back here with the idea that if they do good, they'll just spread out to all this space. We did see a deer in our yard yesterday and we ran it off, trying to keep it away from here because this stuff isn't really protected at all. We had this caged off, but we chose to use the cages for the cherry trees that we planted. So I just kind of threw some chicken wire on top of these pumpkin plants just to kind of protect them from rabbits or the deers. But I mean, if a deer really wanted this, they can just pop the chicken wire off and eat it. But if they do good, they have all this space to spread out, so that's the idea. Eventually I will have to remove that chicken wire, and I'll have to remove the cage that's on this one. So that is how our garden is looking. This week our next task is to go ahead and plant all of these honeyberries. Here's the honeyberry rows. So eventually all of this will be an orchard, but we're starting off here right in the center line. I think it's the perfect spot, full sun. We could keep an eye on it from the house. People can also see it driving by in front of the road. I think it's a pretty spot to start an orchard. That big dark spot in the middle is just where we had the fire pit. So we moved the fire pit to a different spot because I wanted to fill this out with the honeyberries. And the honeyberries, we're spacing them out about 5 feet each from each other. And then these rows are give or take 10 feet in width. Tried to make them as straight as possible. That's kind of hard because our land is a little bit weird and wonky. It's not like a straight cut line. So we're just tilling by hand pretty much and going as straight as we can. But I think once we have these honeyberry bushes growing and thriving and planted all down the rows, you're not going to be able to tell anything is crooked. Plus, who cares? I don't care if it's not perfect straight lines. All of this will eventually be filled with rows and rows of honeyberries if they all do good and take well to our soil type. We don't plan on amending anything. We're just going to plant them straight into this ground and see what happens. Maybe we'll add some fertilizer, but that is pretty much it. I like things that you don't have to baby too much, which is the reason why we chose these honeyberries, or also called haskap berries, because they're supposed to be very easy to maintain. They don't really have pests that bother them too much. Deer might be a problem, but I don't see how we would fence off our whole yard to prevent deer. So hopefully the deers don't bother them too much. And once we actually have berries, the birds are going to be our main thing. We'll definitely have to add netting during berry season, because honeyberries, they don't have a very long season. They grow, I think, in a matter of 2 weeks. They've already ripened and they're pretty much gone. So birds is going to be our main battle, and hopefully we don't have too much damage from the deer. The deer supposedly don't seek them as much as, let's say, a blueberry bush. So that is pretty much it. That's everything we have growing right now. I love these wild lupins. We're due for another grass mow for sure, but the flowers are so pretty. We have pink ones and purple ones. And these are just growing by themselves and wild. I have some rainwater saved behind the house. So these are peonies. I'm waiting patiently till they bloom. I'm really excited to see these, to see what color they are and how they look when they're fully bloomed. But we have 2 of those plants right here and then right here. And all of this has grown and filled in so nicely. But that is our garden update for now. I love how it's looking and it's getting filled out. Everything's nice and green and just sticking out the ground beautifully. We do have pest damage, but I think we're doing good at controlling it. Our plants are still growing despite the damage from the slugs. So like I said, the best way we have found is to hand pluck them every evening, because all of the things we've tried have not really worked yet. So that is pretty much it. That is the update for today. I hope you guys enjoyed our garden tour, and I'll continue sharing updates as everything continues to grow and as we put more seeds in the ground, and all the way up to harvest. I'll definitely do harvest videos for when we're harvesting fresh vegetables for the farm stand or for our family as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing all that with you. I'll see you in the next video.